This is GARIS Masculist MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW. Written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 138, entitled MGTOW-Masculist Punishment of Second Halver Women. Description. This flyer is aimed at women, claiming that if first Halver women, that is less than 40 years old, are not nicer to men, they will be punished by being ignored by men in the second half of their lives. 40% of women over 40 in the US live alone. This flyer explains some of the reasons why. The flyer itself. MGTOW/Masculist punishment of second Halver women. My impression is that most young women, that is first Halver women, that is women under 40, are unaware that about 40% of second Halver women in the US live alone. Many of them are being punished by second Halver men, who simply refuse to live with them for a variety of reasons, some of which are: second Halver women are far less sexually attractive to men. A large proportion of them have become fat, and about as many even obese, so have made themselves sexually repulsive to men. Many of them nagged their men when they were younger, and these men just got sick of it and walked out. Many men have been financially massacred in the fluffy feminist-dominated divorce courts and utterly refused to have anything to do with women again, preferring to only date women for sex and living in their own apartment. Many men see women, especially first Halver women, as feminazi bitches and want nothing to do with them, preferring the peace and quiet of their own space. Many second Halver men, actually more fourth quarter men, have lower libidos and so are much less cunt-driven than first Halver men, so prefer to have nothing to do with women, preferring their own activities to women's nagging and childlike behaviours and attitudes. There's a lesson to be learnt here for younger women. Quote, "If you younger women continue as you are going, then you will end up in the, quote, fluffy graveyard, like the above 40% of second Halver women," end quote. These fluffy graveyarders are slowly dying, very slowly, like half a lifetime slowly. They are manless, loveless, often childless, often poor if they're fluffies, and no one cares about them. They lead half-lives, and it's their own fault. They should have been nicer to men when they were younger, so that their man did not walk out on them. They should not have financially massacred him, so that he might be prepared to be a bit friendly towards her after the divorce, rather than shunning her like the plague, and other women as well. They should be FIPs, financially independent persons, so that men will at least tway-tweff with them. 2A, 2F equals 2 apartments, 2 FIPs, so that when the relationship ends, the 2 FIPs walk away to their own apartment, cost-free for the man. In other words, younger women, first Halver women, need to be made a lot more conscious that it's in their self-interest to be much nicer to men, so that second Halver men are not prepared to relate with second Halver women, so that these women do not lead such miserable half-lives as they do today. Here is where MGTOW/Masculism comes in. We need to be much more active in attracting the broadcast media, in teaching younger women that a horrible reward is awaiting for them in the second half of their lives if they continue on their current misandrist, man-dumping path. Men are half the population and have the power to punish women severely if men get too pissed off. MGTOW/Masculists need to get the broad circulation journalists and TV producers interested in MGTOW/Masculist ideas, so that women learn about the price they will pay in their second half-life if they remain feminazi misandrist bitches. In a week from writing this flyer, I will be on RT, Russia Today, with its 700 million worldwide audience in English for half an hour, to talk about the rise/threat of massively intelligent machines. I and other MGTOWs/Masculists should be doing something similar with the ideas of MGTOW/Masculism, so that feminists learn that they are the first category of female to be rejected by men. These feminazis are the most punished because they not only won't get because not only won't men go near them, they sneer at them and call them names such as fluffy feminazi hypocrite, the most hated type of females, utterly to be rejected by all men, etc. The majority of young women today do not state publicly that they're feminists because they know from watching the hateful reaction of men towards feminazis that men utterly despise such women and refuse to have anything to do with them. But young women are still fluffy crappers at high school and university. Over 3/4 of young women at 16 still choose to study fluffy crap subjects at high school because they are intellectually easier, the soft option, rather than the hard option of math and the sciences that are prerequisites to study career-competent majors at university so that they can become FIPs as adults and be able to afford their own middle-class house in their 30s when they want to raise their kids in it, and not look around for some gullible manslave to pay for it for her kids and for her. High school women still have a lot to be taught by the MGTOW-Masculists about the moral responsibility of becoming career-competent FIPs and not expecting to be fluffies in their 30s and hence parasite on a manslave whose supply is rapidly drying up. In brackets, 70% of young men under 35 in Japan and the US refuse to marry, refuse to have kids, and spend their money on themselves. Generally speaking, first Harver women need to be taught by masculist MGTOWs to be responsible FIPs, or they will suffer the fate of the fluffy graveyarders, dying a very slow, isolated, unloved, unsexed, ignored half-life. That will be their fate if they don't make a lot more effort to be nice to men in their first half of life. The most significant thing these women can do in their first half of life is to become FIPs and take responsibility for their own lives and not expect some man to do it for them. Women must grow up and not just act like adults, but be adults. Women need to be taught this from MGTOW/Masculists initially, and later from teachers, professors, the media, and society in general. We MGTOW/Masculists particularly need to get the message out to young women that, quote, if you're not nice to men, if you're not a FIP, if you're a feminazi bitch, if you don't take responsibility for your own life, then an awful punishment awaits you in the second half of life. You will become a fluffy graveyarder, utterly ignored by men and by society, because no one cares about old, single, poor, useless females. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name De GARIS Masculist MGTOW Flyers. Ciao.